Hi there. Today I'm going to show you the mobile user plugin demonstration. For this plugin, you'll already have to have RainLab user installed, a mobile plugin installed, and a RESTful plugin installed. Remember that mobile is a paid plugin, so you should have purchased that before you purchase this. So this plugin basically does the same thing as what RainLab user does, except that it is based for mobile frontends. So it exposes a REST API to make things possible. So if you had seen my previous video, you would be aware that of the how the mobile plugin works. And going to the mobile controller, you can see that there is a new column called user, and right now it just shows unregistered. But basically, this plugin adds that column, and every time a user registers to an app or signs in, this field shows that user. And also, if you go to the users controller, which is the RainLab user controller, uh, when the user is created, there will be a new field. I'll show you that. So there are two ways to register a user. One is through the app. You could create a form um, and register it to the app, which I will show towards the end. But alternatively, you can create the user from the website itself. A lot of mobile apps do that. So I've created the same account controller, and you can see that here. And the user gets created. So the activation does come, and you can activate it, but I'm just going to activate it manually. So I'm just going to click on this and activate it. So unless the user is activated, if the user tries to sign in through the app, it would give him an error, and you can show it in the app the way you want to show errors. So anyway, you can see that a mobile tab has been added, and you can see the same mobile controller which you've seen before available here, except it doesn't show the extra user tab because this is part of the user controller. And this basically shows the list of mobile devices that are linked to this particular user. So if you have multiple apps, it will show all those apps. So that's that, and it's all configured and ready. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to the front end, and I'm going to show you the client side code of it. And for that you'll need Android Studio, and I'm going to create a new project. So if you've seen the previous tutorial, we already had a project. I've removed it. So we'll call this login app, and my login app. All right. And this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a login activity instead. So this will automatically create a simple login activity with a username and password. And I'm just going to give finish. And I'm going to go to the settings page, apps. I'm going to create a new app called the login app. And this kind of login app. Call this login app production. That's it. So anyway, so in the meantime, I will just add some code and create the user permission for internet. Alright, alright, this is taking a while. So anyway, I'll show you a demonstration of it soon. Anyway, HTTP and synchronize it. So this takes a minute. So meanwhile, in the login app, I'm just going to scroll down to the very end of it, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the same code for the install controller which I did last time, um, which is this. So this basically does the same thing, which is um, it launches the app, and to the install controller it alright. So let's see, the build is running, so it will take a minute for it to launch. Alright, so this is the app, and basically it just shows an email and password. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the same function, but this time it's for login. So I'm just going to copy it, and then I'm going to name it as login. Username, string, password, and username. Let's call this email. Or you can also use username if you like. It should work fine. But you'll have to enable username as your uh, default in the RainLab user settings, and this plugin will just pick that up. So it will use the username instead. Alright, so there is one difference, and this is in the API. One is the email and the password, and if you have username, you will have to add username as well. And the other is account/sign-in. This node is for login basically, and that's it. So yeah, and normally this particular demo app which they provide, that is Google provides, uh, it creates an async task and uses some dummy credentials. What I am going to do is I'm going to copy some of this um, here, and if um, the response dot code is not equal to 200, then show an error. If you just put respond dot message, and it should just show the REST API's error message, just like that. Otherwise, I just want to close the app, right? So I wanted to send a toast message, so from inside there's a loop here, run activity dot this run on the outside. So I'm just creating a toast message here, from inside the UI thread. Login successful. So this is just for the sake of demo. So we're going to use a string directly, but normally you would have to use the string from the assets folder so that you can change the string whenever you like. So I'm just going to call finish, and that's it. So the difference is that we can get rid of this asynchronous task completely now, which is kind of useless, and we should the dummy credentials can go, and what else? Just out of the group can go, and instead of this, so login email comma password, and secondary catch, and that's it. You could change this catch to show an error as well. You could set the error, and the rest of it should work fine. So let's put this in action. Looks fine. Okay. So, and password is, so it says login successful and this dies. And if you go to the user controller, you can see that in the mobile section it has added this new instance. Clicking on it obviously it will just show you that particular thing, and it will also appear in the mobile section. So it shows user ID as 1 instead, so you can click on it, and you can also hop in directly to the user by clicking on this hyperlink, which normally would show as not registered. You can see that it shows as unregistered, so you can click on that and it jumps directly to the user controller, and that's it. And like, you're ready to go. You can, if you want to use the web as the registration and login as the mobile, that's all you need to know. But if you want to provide the user with a registration form as well, then follow on. I'll show you another uh, the next step basically. So I'm just going to create a new activity. I'm going to make this a basic activity, and I'm going to call it a register activity, and I'm just going to say this as a launcher activity. So for the sake of the demo, I'm not going to like create a menu or anything. I'm just going to simply get rid of the previous activity, login activity, and just put this in front. Um, so okay. So by default, it should be in relative layout. I'm going to change it to a linear layout, and also I'm going to set the orientation to vertical so that I can add stuff directly. So I'm going to replicate exactly the account plugin which shows full name, email, password. So I'm just going to replicate that here, and for that I'm just going to create an email and password, right? So and to make it convenient, I'm just going to call this ut name, this as ut email, and this as ut password. So, and the last thing I'll need is a button to register, and I'll just add that button, and the button, so you can see that it says enter full name, enter your email, choose a password. So I have replicated exactly that here, and I'm going to call this register, and I'm going to register. Okay. Also, I'm just going to create the same handler. On click is going to be the handler when the button is clicked. So as OctoberCMS user plugin follows, I'm gonna call it as on register just to be consistent. although you can put any name, and I create a function on register which takes in a view. And so for now, since we've created a lot of edit texts, I'm gonna call it et name, et email, and et password. And I'm going to use the old way of directly just taking it from the ID. Um, the new way is using data binding, which I'm not going to do that now, but for the sake of this demo, let's make this simple. Dot id dot et name, so email and password. All right, so that's done. Um, Here I'm just gonna take the name as a string, so etname dot get text dot to string, string email equals et dot get text dot to string, and string et password equals et password dot get text dot to string. Simple as that. So we still need the handler, and I'm just gonna copy this login directly and paste it here. So there is a lot of difference between the sign-in and the registration node, and I'm just gonna call this register. So it takes in email, password, and an extra parameter which is the name. So the difference is that this doesn't need the instance ID or the package. All it needs is an extra parameter which is the name or username if you want to use username as well, and that's it. And instead of sign in, you will be using register. And I'm gonna remove all this because it's not a big deal. And register name comes last, right? So email, password, and name. Around it. So you will have to write better exception handling and stuff, but I'm just gonna run it. And one more thing before I run it, I need to tell the manifest that I'm no longer using this. Right? And save. And alright. So now it should load the registration page instead of the login page and directly show it to you. So I haven't done any kind of fancy error handling or uh, reset. Basically, after once the register button is pressed, all the IDs should reset. So I haven't done any of that, but this is for the sake of the demo, but you can go ahead and do all that. So I'm just gonna call this guy as uh, mobile user, and email as mobile at acme.com, and the password as some password. I'm gonna click register. So since I have not done anything fancy, it will not show anything. But if I go to the user controller, it will show that indeed mobile user has been created and his email ID is there. So as usual, the activation is not done. So the user gets an email. He will need to activate it before he can start logging in and using the app. Unless in the settings of user plugin of RainLab, you change the activation to automatic or administrative, in which case you'll have to manually activate the user. Or if it's automatic, it's just automatic. It happens every time the user is registered. So I hope this shows you how to use this plugin. It's a wonderful plugin, and I'll come up with a series of more plugins to make the entire mobile development experience through October CMS much more convenient. Thank you and have a great day.